Hey, Deserved listeners, Love is Blind, Netflix, Season 2. Let's watch.
I really appreciate that.
What is this, our third day? Second day? Third day. Third day we've known each other.
Third day you knowing me in person, and here I am.
And here you are at your absolute worst.
This is terrible. This is terrible.
And I haven't run for the hills yet.
This happened with me and my wife on our third date-ish. She got real sick. She was trying to hold it together. I was noticing that something was up with her, and I'm like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I don't know if I knew about it right away, but later on, it was disclosed that she had, vomited in the bathroom of the restaurant, and like a couple of times. She was real sick. She was not doing well. She said she felt like she wanted to hold it together because she wanted to get rejected by me. She thought that I would think she was a party pooper. And I'm like, you were sick. Like what do you can't do anything about being sick. It was a temporary thing that happened to her. But anyway, Danielle was expressing that too. It was like, oh no, I don't, it's great that he's passing the test that I passed a long time ago.
If she would say yes, she said no. She cried.
She cried?
She was sobbing. She just felt terrible, but she really liked Sal. I mean, I wish I was there. So
I wish you were there too. I love you.
So I think she's just sick, right? And she doesn't want to kiss. So, because she seems really run down. And so this is after the party. He comes back home or back to the room and they're checking in. So I think that's what's happening.
I literally was like, can I leave? Can I leave?
Yeah. I mean, it looked like you were having fun.
Looked like?
Yeah. What do you think I was doing out there? I was bored.
You watched it?
Yeah. Well, I watched part of it.
Oh, I was talking to the girl about capitalism.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we believe that Nick was like actively flirting with women at the party? I mean, I don't think so, given his demeanor, given what we saw. Who knows? They didn't show us all the footage. Maybe there was something inappropriate. But he immediately starts, I was talking with one of the women about capitalism. He's trying to get out ahead of that. Danielle, I think, is triggered. I've been hypothesizing about attachment insecurity, of which a lot of the people on this show probably possess. It's just that Danielle's is seemingly noticeable. So and as I've been saying about Danielle and the style that she seems to exhibit, it makes one extremely hypervigilant and perhaps distorted, where little jealousies will become very large jealousies because of the assumptions that people are going to leave her based on past experiences. Let's see how she manages this.
That wasn't
So you're
me.
walking this way. Yeah, you were. So you're the only
so-
person that was there without someone else.
Yes.
It's not that I don't trust you. I do. It's that I don't like in situations that are going to make this not work. Like today.
You know what, though?
Okay, so she's saying, so it's not that I don't trust you. I do trust you. So I think that's her recognizing, I think I'm having a bit of a trust issue right now, but I need to remind myself and you that I do trust you. So I do. But then she said, let's rewind that because she said something interesting. I think she said, but we have to make sure that we don't do things that make us not work. What'd she say?
It's not that I don't trust you. I do. It's that I don't like in situations that are going to make this not work.
I don't like to get into situations where this won't work. I wonder what she means by that. I mean, that doesn't sound good because that essentially is saying, if I'm interpreting it correctly, which I might not be. Essentially, so on one hand, on the healthy side, she could be like, look, we have to manage my jealousy. We have to manage my preoccupation because if I get triggered, I'm going to flip out, and neither of us want that. So that'd be on the healthy side because you're taking ownership and you're asking for help. On the other side, she could be saying, look, you need to not talk to women because if this is going to work, you can't create problems. So you need to just not talk to women anymore. I'm exaggerating a little bit for effect, but let's see if they can clarify what she means by that.
Like today.
You know what, though? What didn't work today for us, you and me?
What's going on in my head?
About us?
Everything.
What's going on with us now? There's no penetrating us. Literally.
There is.
There's not.
This stuff is going to cause
You're gonna
big
let
issues.
it.
Okay, so he's trying to reassure. I think he should take a beat and listen and recognize that I think she's of two minds right now. On one hand, I think she's saying, I have issues, and just seeing you talk to that woman massively triggered me, and we just can't have that, because we need to work together on this. And I think that's a part of which I think is a healthy thing to do. And I actually will work with couples on this instead of trying to shame yourself and get rid of your insecurities while they're still present, which it takes years of therapy to attenuate. You manage them. And so I think on one hand, I think she is saying that. On the other hand, I think she's saying, you need to like clamp down on your behavior, because if you don't watch yourself, like, this is going to get bad. You don't understand. And so now I don't think he's hearing that. What he's hearing is she feels a little threatened, or at least somewhat threatened. And he's just like, look, nothing is going to come between the two of us. No woman, I'm not going to be with any, like, you don't have anything to worry about. I think that helps, but I don't think I think what she's saying is like, we have to plan. Like, you reassuring me is nice, but we have to, because if this is going to happen again, like, I would suspect that before he came back to the room, she was going up and down with her moods and her reactivity. I wouldn't be surprised if she went for a few minutes where she was like, this is it, I'm going home. Like, I don't want to be with him. I can't, he probably wants to be with her. This is disgusting. I can't believe that I was stupid enough to fall in love with that idiot. Like, he's a player. Like, I would not be surprised. I don't know that. That's this conjecture, but I'm just saying that because I think she's trying to communicate to him, you don't understand what's happening for me right now.
Yes.
Why? Why does this cause an issue?
Because I had 3 hours to sit here and not do anything but be in my head. I sat in the closet. I locked the door. I shut this, and I sat in the closet and cried. Right.
So she, for 3 hours, was suffering. I mean, she could have even been jealous and worried the fact that he was just out and at a party without her. And my impression is that the producers actually asked both of them to attend, and because it's part of the whole Love is Blind format where they all get together and drink. But so I don't think he was like I can't wait to get out of here. I think if he had his way, I'm guessing he would have stayed with her, because I think he really genuinely loves her. But anyway, she's saying, for 3 hours, I was absolutely suffering. I was in the closet, crying my eyes out. Yeah. So this is starting to look like, pretty significant preoccupied attachment, and that results in a lot of suffering, a lot of jealousy, and a lot of panic. And she's holding it together right now. We've seen other people on the show who will explode and be extremely hostile. She's not doing those things, which is very mature and healthy. But so I wouldn't expect much out of her tonight, but hopefully tomorrow she can say, look, we've got to talk about what happened last night. Like, I got to tell you what happens for me. Like, and I hope that you don't reject me based on what I'm about to tell you, but I have massive reactivity. And how I was talking about how I have insecurities, it sometimes doesn't have anything to do with what's really happening. Like, I'll get triggered by things that don't make any sense. And so you being a good guy is not going to solve my problem. So we've got to work together on this. And I'm terrified I'm going to push you away. Like, maybe, hopefully they can have that conversation. But I wouldn't expect that right now, given that she's been crying her eyes out in the closet for 3 hours just prior to this.
Think anything tonight changed the way that I feel about you?
I don't know. But if I were to leave for 3 hours and you were to sit in the closet and cry, you'd probably change the way that you feel. Like, if I was the one that was going somewhere, you have to, I'm not saying that to make you feel bad. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from.
So yeah, she's, I think, essentially saying, you left me for 3 hours and I was in the closet crying for 3 hours. And so that changes how I feel about you. And I think that really stresses him out, because he's like, wait, what? I went to socialize with friends. You were sick. The reality TV show was prodding me to get out there. I didn't really he even said, or I don't know if I showed the clip, he was like, pretty quickly, I was like, I just wanted to come back up and see you. But I stayed because I felt like I was supposed to. And yeah, I was talking with people, men and women. Not flirting. I didn't see any. He just doesn't seem like that type, Nick. Who knows? But, and she isn't saying that he was flirting. She was just saying that she. So if you're him, you're like, wait, what? I just went out while you were sick, talked with friends for 3 hours, and you're saying that you fell out of love with me during that time? Like, what?
I had to be here alone by myself.
I told you I didn't
for
have
hours.
to go. Do you believe me? Do you trust me?
I'm not kidding. I don't trust anything right now.
Not even me.
Nothing.
I can't.
Yeah, yikes. I mean, so it is what it is. Preoccupied attachment. And she's saying, he's like, wait, so do you not trust me? I don't, like, before I left, we were in love. We're getting married. We're having kids. We're spending the rest of our lives together. There's no ambiguity. I step out for 3 hours to chat on a reality with cameras around, and I come back, and you don't trust me anymore? Like, in his mind, he's like, I'm not going to always be with you, right? I'm going to, like, hang out with my friends or go to work or, go for a run. Is your love for me, because for him, it's like, ouch, is your love for me that fragile? Is your trust in me that fragile? But, for her, given her experiences, it's in her neurons, that notion that abandonment is going to happen and pain is going to happen and you are worthless and no one will ever love you. It's so ingrained in the neurons and the personality that it'll look for any evidence of that, even if it's not actually there.
If you don't trust me at all. But my word doesn't mean anything to you. I'm done.
Hey.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And if I were there, I mean, it's so easy to fix. If I were there, this is a lob over the plate. This is just so easy to help them with. And it's painful to watch people misunderstand each other. I mean, he's justified and she's justified, given her experiences. And he's just like, wait, you don't trust me anymore? Like, what? Like, how can you say that? Like, I'm loyal. You're accusing? What's going on right now? That hurts. It hurts to feel like your love for me and your trust in me is that fragile that I step out for 3 hours and you're done with, like, you don't really love me. That's what it feels like.
No, but you're acting mad at me and you're being toxic and you gotta stop.
So there's that word toxic. I wish people would just stop using that word. Just speak from your own. Don't accuse. Just speak from your own. Like it. Just say something like, it really hurts when it hurts my feelings when you say you don't trust me. Just say that. Don't call people toxic. Don't call people gaslighters. Don't call people malignant narcissists. Don't call people love bombers. Just speak from your own experience. Stop diagnosing each other. It's probably not accurate is the thing. So, it certainly isn't going to help. So she's like, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. And yeah, I think we're watching an extremely real moment right now, and a very common one, honestly. There's a lot of people who suffer from this, and it's just heartbreaking to see what seemed to be a very healing relationship for these two people just fall apart so quickly over something like that. And it's just awful.
And you have to start being like, I see this.
Like I'm not mad about something.
Stop. Let me finish, please. You're not making the active effort to stop the toxicity.
I mean, he's not wrong if we give him a wide definition of toxicity, but he's making a request to say, hey, put some effort into trying to resolve this. Don't just give up, essentially. Or don't give in to the negativity, like push back on this negative narrative that's in your head. But I don't think she really understands, particularly now. I mean, she's really triggered. Maybe tomorrow she'll get a good night's rest and be able to see through the woods and actually explain to him in a way that won't trigger him. So they're not showing what they're saying, and I wonder if they asked it to not be included, or I don't know. But I'm guessing it was just a furthering of that conversation, which doesn't bode well for the two of them, and it's really sad to me.
I'm a woman of my word. I can sometimes be mistrusting of men, not only because of the way that I look, but because of some of the situations that have happened in my past.
Thank you.
Right, that was my suspicion, that it wasn't just because of body shaming that she went through, although that could be significant, that she's had some abandonment trauma. A lot of people will identify past romantic relationships as the cause. Given her level of reactivity, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't go back to when she was very young. I don't know that, of course, it's just speculative, but I don't usually see people with that stark level of reactivity without it having been around very early in life.
Because I'm scared that they're going to be constantly seeking out someone else. And I'm like, they're always gonna find someone skinnier. They're always gonna find someone hotter. And I wanna make sure that I'm like competing with every single other person out there. And they can sense that. And I distrust people who don't deserve that. A rose by the bed.
So great, good. So she's saying, I distrust people who don't deserve that. Meaning, I distrust people who haven't done anything wrong and don't deserve me to question them. This is not justified. That's great. That self-awareness is a very protective factor. And we saw her able to identify that sort of in the pods, although in the pods there were no outside incursions and triggers. So that'll help. And it looks like maybe they had a conversation after the cameras left, that because they seem to be cordial with each other.
I feel like last night derailed.
So I was upset, but when I am bubbling up like that, that's not myself.
I get that.
My heart feels like I just want to forgive him, and I want him to forgive me, and I want all this to be over with.
So she's saying, I just want to forgive him for what? I mean, maybe for accusing her of being toxic and maybe having a harsh tone with her. But I get where he was coming from, honestly.
What are we going to do today? You want to go to the beach?
So they seem to have made up. I hope that they have conversations about her reactivity so that they can manage it together, because her reactivity isn't going to go away. It's not like that just resolves itself overnight. So hopefully they had a conversation about that. I don't, but somehow it doesn't seem like they have.
100%. If we met in real life and we had an argument like we did last night, that early on, that wouldn't have worked. But because we have this connection and these strong communication skills that we built in the pods, we're able to come back from something like that.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I wouldn't doubt that if on date 3 you had someone react that way to you, it would cause you to fly apart. But because you're stuck together in Mexico and engaged, it's like, well, let's push through this. And it makes us wonder about the typical way people date in mainstream American society, where if you have an attachment issue, which in my anecdotal evidence, most, if not everyone does, it makes it so that it makes early relationships very fragile, because most people aren't aware of their reactivity.
What are you both worried about? I do want to know that.
Sometimes I don't see it coming. It's like a freight train out of nowhere.
I'm scared that you're going to think that how I've been acting is how I'm going to act for the rest of our lives. And it's not like that. I just had a panic attack.
Okay, she's framing it as a panic attack, and, she can frame it how she wants to. That's probably not technically what it was in terms of the language of the DSM and my clinical speak, but and that's often what people will say with preoccupied attachment, is they will say, I have anxiety. And yeah, I mean, it's not untrue, but it doesn't really capture, because some people just have anxiety, right? They're just like afraid of diseases, or, today we should all be afraid of disease, but afraid of being in closed spaces, frequently worried about losing money when it's not really reasonable, but, or worried about, I don't know, your kids being killed when it's not likely to happen, those kinds of ongoing worries that people have. That's not what she's talking. I don't think that's what's happening. I think what's happening for her is a very specific kind of anxiety, which is attachment anxiety. And so I wonder if she's aware of that. I don't know if I showed the whole clip, but, and by the way, I've said this before, but just to remind people, Netflix is being extremely strict about how much of a clip I can show on YouTube. You probably don't care to know this, but I feel like I should explain it because I have to repeatedly edit these videos that I'm doing with Love is Blind to pass through some computer program that's looking for people, because people on YouTube, they'll just post episodes, right? And so there's a computer that goes through to try to find that stuff, and it just starts like striking it, right? And for whatever reason, the computer thinks that's what I'm doing, which it's not what I'm doing. Anyone that looks at this, a lawyer would look at this and say, "Oh, that's fair use," you know. But I have to say that because I can't include much of what's happening other than me talking, which isn't copyright. Sometimes they'll literally be claiming stuff I'm saying is copyrighted. But obviously it's a computer that just like identifies like a clip where I'm just yammering. There's like, you copyrighted that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway, it's just one of the problems and the sort of the background stuff that me and my wife deal with all the time. Because, you know, I'm doing these videos and that's all you see. But, you know, I probably spend more time on all the other crap that you got to go through in order to make all this available to y'all. But anyway, so I did show this little clip, but I just pointed with my pinky. I don't think I've ever done that before. Why did I do that? But she was saying to him, he was saying, yeah, it kind of feels like it comes like a freight train. So it's probably happened more than once, I'm guessing. And he's referring to that episode in which she was very, very hurt and distorting him talking with other people as a major, major threat. And he's like, yeah, it just seems to come like a freight train out of nowhere. And that can be what it feels like. And then for her, she's saying, I just want you to know that's not how I'm going to be. And that could be. She's like, I just had a panic attack. So that worries me because it lends itself to this notion that she thinks it's never going to happen again, which is not likely true unless she goes through 5 to 10 years of therapy. And, you know, unless she went through 5 to 10 years of therapy between this episode and the episode where she had the episode, then it's very likely to happen again, particularly once they enter the real world, because there's going to be a lot more opportunities for her to distort data that will be distorted as he's going to leave me. You know, he gets a little distant. He goes to work, or you see him laughing with another woman at a party, but it's just like, it's not a real threat. So, you know, those things are likely to happen, and her insecurity isn't likely to go away. So I'm a little worried about that. We might not see that because that might occur after the show ends, but I would highly recommend that her and the two of them go to a therapist that understands attachment insecurity.
I'm like really scared of you judging me for how I was when I was going through that.
And the catch-22 here is that if you don't feel secure, you're terrified you're going to push him away, and then you're just like, it's never going to happen again. Don't ever worry. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. And that can set him up for expectations that aren't likely to be true. Instead of just saying, look, I got this issue, and I hope you don't leave me on this, but if we work together, we might be able to mitigate the episodes that I have, but I'm likely to have them in the future, and it's not your fault, you know, stuff like that. But I'm not hearing that, which worries me.
And you the way that you're looking at me right now, I can tell that you're like, you are judging me for it.
I'm not judging you for it.
Yeah.
I'm not judging you. I'm trying.
So the distortion is starting to kick in. You know, I'm guessing she's starting to be triggered by, they're talking about something that is a little tense, and she is terrified that someone's going to leave her. She's pretty sure, I'm guessing she has a schema that everyone's going to leave. I don't think we've ever had such a stark example of attachment insecurity and preoccupation on any of the shows before. Like this is a textbook presentation. I can never know if it's true for these people. I can only say that I would show these clips as an instruction, as an example of what to look for when you are treating people with preoccupied attachment. So she brings up this thing like, it's never going to happen again. Don't worry about it. I just had a panic attack. I just don't want you to think it's ever going to happen again. And then he has a face of kind of just concern. Who knows what's going on in his head. He seems extremely dedicated to her. So, and then she's like, you're judging me, and meaning you want to leave me. I've treated people like this before, and it's a bit of a specialty of mine. And I didn't know it was going to be a specialty, but I developed it in my early career 25 years ago. And I can't tell you how many times I'd be talking with a client. It's just a hallmark. It's just a indication of this condition where the client would be saying to me, oh, I see something on your face. That means you don't want to be with. A very common transference that clients with this condition will exhibit is they think that I want to reject them as a client, that I don't think they're good enough to be a client with me, or I'm scheming about ways I can get out of dealing with them, which couldn't be further from the truth. I'm pretty dedicated. I'm extremely dedicated to my clients. They're quite possibly the number one priority in my life, aside from my family. And so, particularly clients that I want to provide a corrective experience for and really demonstrate that they can depend on someone, me. But they're very frequently distorted that I am absolutely planning to leave them. I'm absolutely planning to get rid of them. I don't like them. And she is exhibiting that with him. Now, maybe she's reading the situation right, but I wouldn't be surprised if she isn't distorting based on schemas and paranoia.
I understand, and I'm trying to support.
Yeah,
But
no, and I believe you when you say that. I just
You
think
don't
that
give me a lot to work with.
it's just the way that you're responding to me makes me feel a lot worse.
Yeah. So she's doing it again. How is he? I know maybe they edited it, but if we're seeing a reality, how was he supposed to? What did he do? She's like, I had a panic attack. I just don't want you to think anything. And he's like, yeah, it comes like a freight train sometimes, and I don't like. That's all he said. It's it kind of feels like a freight train, and he just has a serious face, an appropriate face to the conversation. And then she's like, "You're judging me. You're being unfair. You're not giving me a chance." And it's like, what did I do? What's happening? And now she's starting to judge him. She's starting to attack him, and then he's going to get defensive. He's going to start calling her toxic. It just creates that whole cycle again. And you can see how the attachment insecurity is a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? That if you have a basic foundational schema and belief system that you are going to be abandoned, and you interpret everything through that lens, it causes behavior that actually does cause people to abandon you.
And then if I try and you get more angry, then it's what do I do?
Yeah, we don't know how to navigate each other in those situations yet. It's
Trying.
a huge thing. I know you are. I genuinely do trust you.
So she's going up and down. So he's trying and he's doing well, better this time. He's not calling her toxic. He's like, I'm really trying here. And then she's like, yeah, I do believe that. Because she's trying to convince herself, I think, in those moments. I think there's a part of her that's like, I don't trust this person. He's definitely going to leave me. He's planning on leaving me right now. But then there's another part of her that's like, no, I do trust him. I don't have any reason to distrust him. Why am I doing this? And so I think she's vacillating back and forth. And I severely worry about this couple unless they have a therapist to help them. Because if they have no way of navigating this, then it's going to get worse. It always does.
I know that your intentions are always good. I don't ever want you to think that I'm not thinking that.
And he's doing great. He's being calm. He is not calling her names. He gets up to hug her. I think she's struggling. I really worry about her, honestly. I've treated a lot. I don't know, of course, but she has all the signs of someone that I've worked with who, people I've worked with who have very frequent anxiety and emotional episodes where they are not well. It's not their fault. It's because of relational traumas that get triggered, complex PTSD, other kinds of things that cause a great deal of suffering over nothing. He doesn't text her back one day, and he's busy at work, and she gets thrown into a massive depressive episode, an anxious episode where she's crying in the closet. And if you just repeat that over and over again, it takes a toll. And so I really hope that she in particular gets a therapist. They all need a therapist. We all need a therapist. I worry about her if she doesn't. And part of the reason why I specialized in clients like this is because I care so much about them. They are good people with a lot of traumas, and they're just trying to survive. And they are some of the most deserving people of love and grace and attention and attunement and patience and, a shoulder to cry on, support, someone to understand them truly. They sometimes have never experienced that consistently. And so I hope she gets that. All right. Well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.